Couple hockey players come up the produce stand the other day.
It's Thirsty Thursday, and that means we're once again hanging out at the produce stand, a podcast paying tribute to the great Canadian show Letterkenny. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are many other podcasts about Letterkenny out there, but this is the only one that'll invite a rival podcast to the end of the laneway to have a puppers. I'm Al, your host, and joining me in the room, as always, is the lovely Tanya. And online, we have Squirrely Matt, the invincible Victor, and our first guest at the produce stand. He's the host of the How Are You Now podcast. They claim to be the toughest podcast in Letterkenny. Dean Giles, how are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad.
It's Giles, by the way. It's a soft G, like those French over in Quebec.
So wait a minute.
Lots of great fish in Quebec, though.
Soft G. So as in GIF?
Yeah, no, hard no.
I saw your poster. Was it on Twitter about people who pronounce it GIF instead of GIF?
Yeah, rules for other rules aside from eating crackers to kick people out of bed.
We're going to be friends. That drives me crazy like nothing else.
Yeah, me too. My apologies, Dean. So it's Giles. Okay.
Giles, right.
Giles.
That's okay. It's, you're not the first one and you won't be the last.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, compared to your podcast, we're still relative newbies. I've been listening to your podcast. I haven't been getting ahead though, because I want to make sure that we're not doing anything to copy you. But so far I've been enjoying it. I mean, you guys must have started a couple of years ago with the How Are You Now podcast?
Yeah, well, it was near the end of year before last, actually. So we're coming up on 2 years.
2 years.
So yeah, it was right at the end of December of 2018 that we started.
Now, so you're in Seattle.
Correct.
How did you get into Letterkenny?
First it was because of Tumblr. I used to be on Tumblr a lot. And then I saw the clip from the very first of the first episode of the first season. Mm-hmm. A couple of hockey players come up at the produce stand the other day. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that one is the one I very first saw. And I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. I need to go find this. And then I found the web shorts.
Right.
And Letterkenny problems.
Yeah. The Listowell shorts, Listowell problems, which started on Twitter, mm-hmm. and then became Letterkenny problems on Twitter, and then became the web series or web shorts, mm-hmm. Where it was just pretty much him and Kiso and Nathan Dales, a bit of Riley and Jonesy in there, but yeah, and then Then when they got the go ahead with Bell Media to do a show, mm-hmm. and they had Tierney assigned to direct, I'm like,
game on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you were watching it before they even got on Hulu then?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
So we're going to be learning more from you, I think, today than anything.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What we like to say is we've made a few trips up to Canada to watch this before it got here on Hulu.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we are close.
And if I caught, I listened to a bit as well, and I caught the first episode. And Tiara, is that your co-host there?
Tiara,
I thought Tiara. She mentioned she's from Canada, is she not?
Well, she's from here. Her mother's Canadian. She has dual citizenship.
Okay, that's why. So she did mention, she referenced it really briefly. So I was curious about what that was part of the connection, but it just sounds like a general love for her when you caught onto the show. Yeah,
it was really me who saw it first, and then I introduced it to her. And as when I first saw it on Tumblr, she wasn't really interested in it because there wasn't a lot. I couldn't get a lot initially. Mm-hmm. So once it, I think. I can't remember before it had come out, right before it came out on Hulu, something had been announced that it was coming out. And so that's when we started making the trips. We would never torrent anything.
No, that would be wrong.
Yeah. We watched them from there. Mm-hmm. And then they got on Hulu, and one of our friends So this was before we started the podcast at all. So one of our friends had seen the steak scene, that because like that was the next big thing was, you know, how you like your steak.
Yeah.
So you know, that one that was the first big, everybody from the States started to get on board.
Sure.
And that's
so just to fill Victor and Tanya, and they haven't seen that episode yet. Is that in season 2? Or 2 or 3? It's coming up, but
I think that's season 2 because, well, you know, hang on. I believe because we get started on that with at the end of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
Yeah. So anyway, what Dean's referring to is there's a steak, an episode that has to do about you know, grilling steaks properly and stuff that's caught on and spawned a bunch of memes. I mean, if you go online and see anything about steak, hashtag Letterkenny, it's because of that episode. So that'll be interesting when we get to it.
And so you said that's season 2?
I believe that, that's an episode called Native Flu.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, that was a funny episode from what I recall. So, I mean, you've got an impressive setup there. So obviously you're into podcasting, and you must have been podcasting before Letterkenny.
Yeah, I started, a buddy of mine and I started a podcast that we've been in and out of just because of life. Mm-hmm. It was a podcast that we initially started to interview other podcasters about what makes them tick. Not really necessarily about their podcasts. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a little bit of talk, but it's really just more sit down and chat with other podcasters about what makes them do the things that they do. Yeah. And it's called Podscure. Mm-hmm. So, you know, even if we didn't have an interview, we'd sit down and talk bullshit about what we'd been going through. And, you know, and Tiara would join us. So, but mostly it was me and Don, who would be on there. And then we started that. So that was like probably 6 months prior to us starting Letterkenny, I think. How are you now? And then, so yeah, it just kind of, once the Letterkenny thing happened, there was one other guy, and Nish, who's also Canadian. I think he started the very first Letterkenny one, and he was very fact driven about the show. And, you know, and
I think I heard it might have been his, because before starting this, I did kind of look out there to see if there were others. So I found yours, and I found another one that I listened to, like just to see what it was like, kind of quality wise and whatever. And I feel like that might have been it, but and it never really stuck. And you know, funny enough, I heard yours. I'm like, oh, I got to listen to more of that.
Well, and I think Al, part of that was when we were talking about names originally, and you said the produce stand. I'm like, I like it, but then I suggested How Are You Now?
Yeah, you did.
And,
well,
we went hunting, and sure enough, we found you.
Yeah, I mean, produce stand wasn't my first choice either. Like we were talking like Pitter Patter Pod, or like, you know, the alliteration was perfect.
I think I thought of that one too, but I'm like, no, that just
all the obvious ones.
Yeah,
right?
There's a lot of obvious ones, but then, you know, every time I wanted to try also to get a .com. So even if there wasn't a podcast available, there was usually a .com, and I didn't want to go there. So for some reason, Produce Stand worked and was available. So I jumped on it. But for sure, yeah.
Didn't we get our website snaked right away too?
What do you mean?
When you started setting up. You went to set up Produce Stand.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it took too long. Yeah, because I was waiting. I was too much of a consensus builder. You guys, you took too fucking long, and then by the time I went to go register it, it got snaked. So I think I ended up having to get .ca or I forget. But anyway, it was something.
Had to add the.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. I had to add the word "the" or whatever, and because as soon as you show interest in a .com, there's like prospectors out there that'll gobble that up, because they gobbled it up only to try to resell it to me, and I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm just going to throw the word "the" and you guys are screwed. So, yeah. Well, all right.
Yeah,
so
there was no other howareyouNowPod.com. So
no.
As soon as I saw it was available, I mean, it's only $15 a year. So
yeah, it's nothing.
I mean, if we win another way, oh well.
Exactly.
I'll buy another one for $15. It's no big deal.
So you started that one, and you've been doing that now for a couple of years. But you've started a new one now too. What's your newest podcast called?
It's about. Well, it's called the Boondocks Podcast, which is the TV show The Boondocks, which was actually it was a comic strip called The Boondocks, made by a artist, social justice, very, very brilliant artist named Aaron Magruder, who started getting these strips in the papers about Black lives in suburbia, basically. And you find out more and more about this granddad, Robert Freeman, and his two grandsons, who he is now raising, and the stuff that they have to how they live. Right. And this starts, I mean, the comic strip started in the 90s, somewhere mid 90s, and then got picked up. I can't remember by who. I think it was Adult Swim. And 2005, that's when they started the TV show. And John Witherspoon was granddad. Regina King did the voices of the boys, Huey and Riley. So, and it was just, and I had never watched it back then. And I'd gotten signed up for HBO Max, and I saw it was on there. I'm like, I never watched this. And it's to my wife. I said, I've never watched this. Have you seen it? She goes, I saw a few episodes back when it came out. It was okay. I said, do you want to watch it? She's like, sure. It's, it's pandemic time. Let's, binge something else. So I was like, oh my God, this is fucking fantastic. I mean, because the stuff that was going in there, the things that they're talking about are so relatable today, with, Black Lives Matter and protesting and pandemics and things like that. So it was like, we need to find out if there's a podcast about this. So I looked and there was none. Really? Now this is a very Black fronted show. The creator is Black. All the main characters are voiced by Black actors. Even the two of the main white characters are voiced by Charlie Murphy and Samuel L. Jackson. Oh wow. So yeah, the only main white character. Wait, Sam Jackson plays a white guy? I got to hear that.
Sam Jackson will not turn down a role.
That's awesome. So, I
mean, it was fucking hilarious. Him and Charlie Murphy, because him and Charlie Murphy were the two white guys, and they were buddies. Right. And so it was hilarious. So this is a blind spot for me. Matt or Victor, have you ever heard of Boondocks?
Yeah, I heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah, same deal. Like I'm just looked it up. I've definitely seen this like imagery and this artwork and heard of it. I've never taken the time, so now I'm interested.
Yeah, very interested for sure.
It'd be worth checking out.
Yeah, it's really funny, very poignant. And so, well, when I found there was no podcast, this is a very Black, like I said, Black fronted show. I said, I can't do this. Right. I'm very white. So I went out to other Black podcasters. I said, the show, The Boondocks, there's no podcast for it. There should be one. And yeah, everybody's like, yeah, there should be. But, they didn't have time for it. They were doing their show and so finally I went to Tiara, my wife, who is Black.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't your co-host?
I said, if I found you 2 other Black co-hosts, would you do the show? She's like, hell yeah. So I was on it. And it was like, so basically I'm the producer, editor of the show. That's all I do. And then we have a segment in there called Stupid White People Questions where I read those.
Awesome.
That's epic.
So,
I'll have to check that out.
So yeah, that's where that came in. We just we had an episode 0 kind of introducing everybody. And then we just put out episode 1 this morning.
Great. And so, I mean, it's you're 2 episodes in. I know this takes time, but any feedback yet? Any response yet or no?
A little. I mean, just the people who have listened, which I mean, that have responded to us have liked it very much. They are waiting for more.
Okay, good. Well, that's the good thing about tapping into. I mean, just like Letterkenny. Letterkenny is a cult favorite, really. I mean, it's not one of these. It's not a highly accessible show to the masses, but the people who like it a lot. And and so doing a podcast, even ours, being a couple of years behind yours, we're getting some pretty good response from it. So it's there's room for everybody, I think.
Yeah. And Dean, I bet you ran into that a lot when you started this with people you know in your circles, and you're like, I'm doing a Letterkenny podcast. Probably, what the fuck is Letterkenny? Yeah. And I bet you you've opened eyes to a lot of people on this show along your journey as well.
One or two. I mean, because Letterkenny, when you hear the word Letterkenny, people are going, the hell's Letterkenny?
Yeah.
And, it's a Canadian show. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're still not selling it.
Right there.
Yeah. And so I said, no, it's a very cool show. It's about small town, these small town guys. There's different groups. There's the Hicks, there's the hockey players, there's the Skids, and there's the Christians. And then you have the natives. And then you end up having some other, the
Degens.
Quebecois.
Oh yeah.
And the Degens. Yeah. So yeah, then, so it all breaks out. But the protagonists are the Hicks. And you find out that everybody in Letterkenny, regardless of what group they're in, they're family. This is a show about community.
Yep.
And especially season 1, how it goes through, there's the fights between the Hicks and the Skids and the Skids and the natives. And then the Hicks and the natives and how that, even though, that big fight with the outside, the natives being outside of Letterkenny, that the Hicks went to battle for the Skids. And this is, even though it's like, I can talk bad about my mom. You can't.
Exactly. Oh, that's perfect analogy. Yeah. Sounds great. I
got to back. You made a comment there really at the beginning of that. You said it's a Canadian show. You want to hear something funny? If you talk to most Canadians, and we refer to something like this, we would also say it's a Canadian show.
Yeah, it's funny.
Most of the content anyone's used to watching comes out of the U.S. or other places. So to have these homegrown shows come up like Letterkenny, we go out of our way to say, it's a Canadian show, just to let other Canadians know that you need to watch this.
Yeah, because sadly, the Canadian show label will turn many Canadians off of it, and it's
true.
It's so sad.
But what Kiso has done, from the actors to the music talent that he has on the show, he is. He picks all the music. That's him, 100%.
And it's so good.
All the music.
It's so good. Yeah.
So and most of that is Canadian talent.
Yeah.
So I'm super proud of what he's done. That's kind of as you get further into our show, because you'll notice at the first and second season, it's all the same music that we have, and then I start reaching out to independent bands. And because once I found out that Kiso was doing that, getting these small a lot of unknown bands and having their music in his show, I'm like, you know what? That's a really good idea. I'm going to start reaching out to independent bands, and I'm going to have them on our intros and outros.
And what better town than Seattle to find that?
Well, actually, I think we've only ever. I know Victor will disagree, but
oh, really?
Well, except for our initial music was a band, Hard Money Saints was a band that I sat in with a number of times over the years. I used to play in a rockabilly band.
Oh, cool.
And I would sit in with them, and every so often when their bass player wasn't there.
Sweet.
So big friends with them. And so I asked Jack, who was the lead singer. I said, mind if I borrow a couple of your songs?
Nice.
And he said, sure, go ahead. And that's where that ended. So, and I have I think I've had one other, who's, James Honeycutt, who's also from out here. He's over in the islands. So, I've used his music a couple of times, nice. But I've had a few Canadian bands, but Pittsburgh, Light the Lamp, probably I think is the favorite band of everybody, which is a hockey themed punk band out of Pittsburgh.
Oh,
and so I've had them on a number of times.
Well,
theme punk. All right.
Well, let's move on real quick here to how's your week, Matt? How's your week so far?
Better.
Oh, by the way, you missed you skipped out on us last week. How the fuck dare you?
My apologies. I felt horrible. I'm not gonna lie. I will use the word burnt out.
Yeah.
My little guy, Dean Reverence, I have a 10-month-old, And he went through a bit of a sleeping shift last week where suddenly he decided sleeping didn't matter anymore. So I was balancing about 2 to 3 hours a night of sleep. Little asshole. But luckily he's rewarded us with full night sleeps this week. So it's we've balanced out. So recovering from that, it's been a good week. I was out. I had some touch-ups done on some recent artwork I had applied to my arm. So that was fun.
Can you show it off?
Sorry?
Show it off? Oh,
if you can see it, it's probably not very visible.
So that looks good.
It's I love it. Is that new?
He's got a pit. So Dean's showing off his "How Are You Now" podcast tattoo. Amazing. So I
can't beat that.
No, you can't.
That's commitment right there, my friend.
That looks amazing.
I know you're going to get an ostrich there, Tanya.
Oh my goodness!
I can't even get started on Tanya's obsession over.
So before we move on, Matt, have you caught up to? Did you listen to last week's episode? Did you hear what I did? I performed a miracle. I got Victor and Tanya to defend the show.
No, it was amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I was actually expecting this one especially when I watched the episode. That's why I was so distraught about not joining, because it really was such a great episode to wrap up that season. Yeah. The first season is really what drew me in, and it was just it wrapped up so well. So I was like, if you guys get anything that's less than fresh, you got it. So it's okay. We can move on.
All right.
But yes, I know, Tanya, you got some more. Some more information about the ostrich fuckers
the ostriches. Yeah,
that's been your following this season.
Yeah, Victor, how was your week?
Yeah, it was pretty good. My daughter, she had her 19th birthday, so there's that.
Was she home or is she off to college?
Well, she goes to college here in Toronto. She goes to OCAD.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
She has a boyfriend now who lives in Oakville. So for Dean, I don't know. It's just a little bit of. It's between Toronto and Hamilton.
Yeah, it's almost a suburb or whatever.
Any bar hopping then for her?
Of course, she's 19.
Yeah, but bar hopping is not like a thing right now.
No, right. That sucks. Can you imagine the year you turn 19 and there's a fucking pandemic and there's
lots of rain checks on that one, But yeah, so she's like, it's a fairly new relationship for her. So she's been going there and staying there for like a week and coming back for a day and going back for a week. But now today was her first day back in university. So she's got to get her act together again. And so we'll see how that goes. But so that was good. And then for me, I got another toy. It's a new looper pedal. So I've been having fun with that. So, these are the things that bring me joy.
Yeah, but you managed to sell enough of your Lego sets to get yourself a looper pedal.
I got $1,000 in cash for my Lego sets.
Holy crap.
So I went and started to do.
Serious?
Yeah, serious.
I'm looking for one of those scenic Lego sets. They have like the city lines for different. That's not the kind of. That's
places. Not the kind of league Victor's playing.
No, yeah, those are kind of. Yeah, those are not so great.
You can say lame, Victor. You can say lame.
Come on.
Yeah,
I was going to say childish, and then I was going to say, what's Lego?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I was looking for our 13-year-old son, so there you go.
And you don't have your guitar. You didn't want to play us a. You didn't want to play us a song today.
Oh, I didn't even think about it. I've got it here next to me, but we don't need to do that. We've got two real musicians here. I'm not going to,
All right. Anyway, do better next time, will you?
Yeah. All right.
Tan, how was your week?
Busy week. Had a couple of days off work. It was our long weekend. Had some friends over. Ended up playing some cards.
Lots of euchre. Do you guys play euchre in Seattle, Dean?
I've heard of euchre from old people.
People.
That's bridge in our territory.
Do you remember Bob Euchre? He was the dad from Mr.
Oh, for
Belvedere.
fuck's sake. All right, so
I remember Bob Euchre.
we were playing euchre and drinking a lot over the weekend, and I'm sitting there going, you know what? Letterkenny needs to do an episode around euchre.
And so my friend,
you tweeted that out, didn't you?
I did. I said because I wanted to see if they'll, in season 9. I guess it's too late for season 9, but if there was another season, there needs to be a euchre episode. You're playing a euchre tournament at the Ag Hall the other day, like something like that.
Yeah, so it was very much a Letterkenny kind of euchre card game that we were having with multiple drinks on board.
Yeah,
and my friend turns around, and I don't know how the conversation came into play, but there was a reference to her dog's penis and the size of it. And I said, you think that's bad? You should see what an ostrich's looks like. That's right. And I thought Alan was going to fall off his chair. He was laughing so hard pointing at me going, you just did that. So there you go. The ostrich just continues. And now they said, and now you've got that in my head and I have to go see what it looks like. So yeah.
So none of our friends know we do a podcast for Letterkenny or a podcast at all. So she's bringing up all these Letterkenny references over the weekend. It was, and I'm just laughing at her. She's saying stuff that would make Gail blush. I'm looking at her going,
but I protest. I do not do it like Gail does it. I just throw it out there as a little how about this? And that it goes no further. I'm not rubbing my.
Gail's kind of like your spirit animal. You just haven't figured it out.
No, we're not allowed to use that. So we'll talk about that in a sec.
Wait, what? Not allowed to use what?
The term spirit animal.
Why?
I'll tell you in a sec.
Right.
So just to cap off our week, since we live in the same house, I can't use the same story. But today, our 6-year-old started school, so we dropped her off at school today for the first time, wearing her mask and
longest March break ever.
Yeah, tell me. So yeah, that's it. Longest March break. This all started the day before March break, and it ended today.
True.
Yeah,
March 17th. Well, but yeah, March 13th. They came home and did not go back. Holy.
Do you have any kids, Dean?
I have 2. One will be turning 21 in November.
Holy, you don't look old enough to have a 21.
I'm 52. I'll be 52 in November.
Holy, you're fucking old. All right.
I'm quite fucking old. I'm so old that they wouldn't allow me in Letterkenny anymore.
Jeez. That's right. There are no old people in Letterkenny.
There's no old people there.
No parents. No. Yeah, you're right.
Huh. I just got that.
So
and then my son is 17. He'll be 18 in March.
All right. So he's in high school still, I guess, senior?
Yeah. He's a senior.
Yeah.
Are they back to school this week? And so I don't know what the schedule is there. And are they taking kind of precautions? I mean, we've taken this. My
son is there. And also my wife, Tiara, she's a teacher. So yeah, this is the start of most stuff coming back. Everything right now up here is online.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So no going in at all.
I think spring. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So it's like they made that decision. Yeah. I think right now in Ontario, they've given the choice. They said you can either go full online or full in school. Unless you're in high school, it's a half and half kind of situation.
In high school, it's half and half.
Yeah. Where we are, our town currently at this moment has 0 COVID active cases
so far.
Good.
So
good.
That's
just our town, though. The town right next to us has a shit ton. So we're like, keep them away.
I see. You're shipping people off.
Yeah.
You got to get the fuck out of here.
Not a shit ton. I mean, relatively speaking, there's a few in the York region, but yeah, I mean, so
what a weird time, man.
Yeah, it's such a strange time. Are your boys going back, Matt?
So I'm separated.
Yeah.
As you guys know, Dean, my ex and I, we had planned on putting the 2 kids in school, virtual. And then at the 9th hour, she decided that she wants them to be in school. So I don't know. That right now, the plan is to send them back as of next Monday, and so we'll see how that goes.
It's tough. You know what? There's no right or wrong on this.
No,
this is just what works for you and your family, and everyone needs to support everyone for sure.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. It just, we had them all sign up for the virtual environment, at least to get started and see how things played out.
Yeah.
And then to change their situation. So that changed everything. And so now they're going to, we got the mask, we got them all ready to go. And that's the plan as of now.
Yeah, and the plan can change next week. So.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very fucking fluid for sure.
We got a trigger happy premiere. He'll happily shut things down in a heartbeat if it happens.
You know what though? Good. I'm glad. I'm glad he's willing to do that. I didn't give him that much credit when he was elected. So.
No, I agree.
Don't be too giving with that credit though.
Well, it's bare minimum. Trust me, it's bare minimum.
Exactly.
I wouldn't expect Dean to know who our premier is, but
he might know his brother.
Yeah, Rob Ford. Did you ever hear the name Rob Ford?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is his brother runs our province.
Yeah. I have heard of the Fords.
Yes. So yeah.
And I do hear Kay Trevor quite often belittling Rob Ford.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I'm no fan of his. But at the very least, he's doing the bare minimum of what's accepted.
I'll take 2 Doug Fords over 1 Trump, but
God,
I'll take 5. But anyway, so let's try to move on here. Let's see. I just want to welcome some new followers to Twitter. We have Jen from Memphis, Tennessee. Lorna Violet from Parts Unknown.
Lorna.
Oh, you know Lorna?
Yeah.
I think we probably share.
She's one of our. Oh yeah, I'm sure that we share a lot of.
Awesome. Well,
we're family, man.
Exactly. So you know what? You call them out when you hear them. You call them out when you hear them. Then Helen Black from St. Louis. Pete from Danville, Indiana. I have to look up a lot of the state abbreviations because there's a lot of INs and I like
IL.
Yeah.
IL is Illinois.
Yeah.
I is Iowa.
Someone named Squirrely Dean from Seattle, Washington. Dean. Yeah, that would be Dean Giles. Jason Siverson. He's a Twin fan, so I'm guessing he's from Minnesota because why else would you be a Twins fan if you weren't from Minnesota?
Maybe
Black.
Movie.
Maybe Square Black Lives Matter Pegs from Portage, Michigan, or is that Portage? Probably Portage. Yeah, because you're not from Canada. Eli Whitaker from
Portage. You have to do it with a French accent. Get the
Portage. Anyway. Eli Whitaker from
Portage,
New Hampshire or New Hampshire. Adam Cannell from Port Coquitlam, BC. He's closer to you, Dean, than he would be to us. So
say that one 5 times fast.
Port Coquitlam, yeah. And Austin with a whole bunch of punctuation over his letters from Annapolis, Maryland. Thank you all for the follows and welcome, and thank you for listening, guys. All right. So let's do
pitter patter. Let's get at her.
Last week we reviewed season 1, episode 6, A Fuss in the Backbush, and that episode received a unanimous fresh rating from all of us. So let's today we're just gonna do a little bit of a season 1 recap as a whole with our friend Dean here helping out. So on Twitter, I've taken liberty of doing some scientific Twitter polls to get some consensus.
Scientific and Twitter. You just put those together. Just saying.
So I'm going to go just like quickly episode by episode. So for example, episode 1, ain't no reason to get excited. So this is the first episode in our second podcast episode, and that episode got a fresh rating from Matt and myself. Dean, do you remember these?
Oh yeah, that was a fantastic episode. My favorite quote from that. I don't know. Let's see if you can hear this.
Vaginal intercourse.
That's right. Yes. Awesome. You've got the soundboard. I love it. Okay, great. So Dean, I'm going to get your ratings on these too, and I'm going to include them here. So we're going to do episode 1. Your rating for that one, I'm going to guess is
it's fresh,
of course.
Yeah. And I'm going to throw a curveball for you here for Fartbook, I'm sure.
All right, yeah.
Once we get to that.
Yeah, once we get to it.
Yeah, I heard a bit of your podcast on that one. So
it was that episode there where we got this Wayne's word of wisdom.
It's a hard life picking stones and pulling teats, but sure as God's got sandals, it beats fighting dudes with treasure trails.
So
can confirm.
I mean, it was a great, introduction to the characters and to the show. I mean, it didn't do anything for Victor and Tanya, but it certainly, it certainly did. It drew me in.
So, Al, before you continue, should you set the stage? I mean, when we started this show,
Right.
I introduced you to this.
Okay, yes.
You
yes.
fell in love with it.
Yes.
Then you drew your wife into it, and then we dragged Victor in. So
No,
we
no,
actually
no.
started this
No.
podcast.
So there's.
Sorry.
So, okay. Rewind a bunch. Like Victor, Matt, and I have done podcasts in the past, but nothing publicly
We're
available.
going way back.
But I've always wanted to do like a publicly available podcast, and there's just never a good idea. So during one of those old episodes, Matt, I remember saying, "Oh, you got to check out Letterkenny," but I didn't have Crave at the time, and it wasn't on my radar. So during the pandemic, I finally all right, I gotta watch something. Letterkenny looks interesting. I'll check it out. And I binged through it. So while watching it though, Tanya every once in a while would come by and be like, "What the fuck are you watching?" and she would be,
I would catch like them, the Fartbook.
Yeah.
I would catch them farting and recording it. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, what are you watching right now? This is the most immature.
yeah, she hated it.
And oh my gosh.
Hated it.
Yeah. No.
And I try to show her like episodes that I thought were really well written and smart, like from future seasons. I'm like, no, watch this. Like, it's really smartly written. And she'd watch it going, yeah, I don't. So it's like, she didn't know the characters. So obviously she wouldn't care about the characters, and therefore she wouldn't care whether it was smartly written or not. Right. So anyway.
So fast forward. Alan's done
So-
this podcast in order to get me to watch it with him.
So the whole premise here, like, I'm like, I want to do a podcast. What am I going to do? You know what? I want to do a Letterkenny podcast. And you know what? We're going to do it so that I'm going to like, there needs to be conflict. And the conflict here is like trying to convince Tanya that it's a good show. I know she hates it. Let's see if we can't change her mind. So I obviously I asked Matt if he wanted to do it. And Victor, I thought he told me that he'd seen it before and enjoyed it. So, okay, I'll bring Victor in. But what happened when we started this, there was like a line in the sand has been drawn between Matt and myself, who love everything about the show, and Victor and Tanya, who are like, still not sure about it. And that's kind of the birth of this. So this is what we've been doing.
It's a good recap.
Yeah. But I think
And that's why we came up with a rating system, because we realized it wasn't going to be a love fest.
no.
So we should definitely have some sort of a rating system to give it some merit.
So we're a couple of fanboys, and then a girl and another guy.
Well, I'll just give you a quick recap for me. I saw the first episode a couple of years ago, and I watched the very first episode, and so because we got to see Riley and Jonesy, I thought it was going to be about hockey. And one of my favorite shows ever, and happens to be also Canadian, is Corner Gas. And I had just finished, my wife and I had just finished binging that show. And I thought, oh, here's another kind of Canadian show about a small town. I kind of thought it would be something similar. And obviously it isn't. It isn't at all. But I remember enjoying the first episode a lot more than I enjoyed it when I most recently watched it.
Yeah.
Because I gave it a clearance. And, but I liked it enough to say, yeah, you know what, it's probably going to be a good show. But there's context here. So the first time I watched it on my own. Second time I watched it with my wife and my son. So I was watching it not as kind of my own goofy self, but I was watching it as a dad. So it just it gives it a different perspective. And you try to kind of let the hair down and just enjoy it for what it is, but it's kind of hard to do it that way. So anyway, I think it's nice to kind of come in with those different perspectives.
Absolutely.
And,
I think if we all agreed, it would be boring, or not as. I mean, it'd still be good because we're professionals now, but it would be
professionals.
I think it's more interesting when there's consenting or whatever opposing views. Dean, so I mean, obviously the first few episodes drew you in as well. And I know Tiara is a fan. How about your kids? Like your 20-year-old or your 17-year-old?
They're not interested at all. My son plays video games 99% of the time.
Yeah, mine too.
My daughter, she's more into Drag Race. Let's see. She watches a lot of anime. So, but she is, she watches American Horror Story. But this just I think it's because Dad's doing it. She would never watch it.
Right.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that does sound about right. Like my son, Dad's in a rock band. Yeah, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I'm into rock. My son listens to nothing but rap. Yeah. So there you go.
Same.
All right. Episode 2, Super Soft Birthday, one of my favorites. That one got, fresh rating from Victor, Matt, and myself. Tanya just gave it a clearance. She still wasn't drawn in by the heart of this episode, which I think has a heart. I think it has a lot of heart.
I love this episode.
Dean, did you not have a Super Soft birthday?
I did, for my 50th.
Oh, that's right. I saw the pictures too. Or did you post a picture on Twitter and you guys or something? Yeah. So on my 50th, it was a super soft birthday. I mean, and even the thing about the Go Florida State Seminole Vesicles, and my favorite, which also is my favorite quote from that.
I thought it was pretty funny when I said Florida State Seminole Vesicles, and nobody laughed.
I'm sorry to tell you, Dean, but that joke would probably get lost on 90% of Canadians just because of
So good.
Hey, if Wayne gets it, everyone should get it.
Yeah. So I meant to mention actually before episode 1, the scientific Twitter poll, 87.5% of people agreed it was a fresh. 12.5% agreed with Victor and Tanya. None of them gave him a compost, which why would they? They're following a Letterkenny fan site. And the super soft birthday, 100%.
I'm on my own.
Yes, say that it's a fresh and by all accounts, at least from season 1, it seems to be a lot of people's favorite episode.
I have to watch it again.
Yeah. And that's when we learned this Wayne's word of wisdom.
You don't fuck with tradition.
You don't fuck with tradition.
That's right.
And now we get to the controversial episode, episode 3, Fartbook. Now, I mean, this episode is basically the birth of this podcast, of our podcast, anyways. We've now talked about. It got a fresh. And this was a turn of events because we got a fresh rating.
Just a fucking shit show, man.
From Victor and Tanya. This is like an upside down world, or what's the
upside down
world? Yeah, and then a compost from Matt and myself.
I don't think they're watching the same show.
No, I know. So Dean, what's your take on this?
So this, I mean, number one, it's probably got one of the best quotes in there of any of the episodes.
It does.
Oh, there's nothing better than a fart.
Oh no!
Except kids falling off bikes, maybe. Fuck, I could watch kids fall off bikes all day. I don't give a shit about your kids.
You're right.
And that's not the only one.
No.
But I mean, and also it's basically it's a metaphor for the shit show that is social media.
Yeah.
And the way Devin did Zuckerberg.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
I'll give you that one 100%. I mean, we talked about that in ours. Like it was such a great, like some of the impressions and the
See, then you
social network stuff were unbelievable, but it wasn't. These two idiots kept talking about depth of character, but there was nothing of that. They were just mimicking.
Well, yeah, that just shows what skids they are. They sit in their basement and watch TV over and over and over. I mean, so much in that when Wayne smacked him, Devin had no clue what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was beautifully executed for what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people will just think it's all just about farts. Well, that's not it. It's your farts are what goes out on social media, because as you find out later, there's a quote of Wayne him saying, as I am with all social media, I don't follow. So
there's some great. You're right. They're a great quote. And does anyone have the number to the internet? I mean, that is some of the funniest Squirrely Dan stuff was on that episode. But it just wasn't enough. Like as Victor would say about a Wingman Wayne, it wasn't enough to save the episode for me. So I had to give it a compost. What would you give it, Dean?
Oh, I can't think of anyone that's not fresh from season 1.
Okay.
I loved them all.
All right.
And they because you get some that are about a trope like this one, which was just about the shit that goes on social media.
Literally,
then you get to Wingman Wayne, which kind of starts delving into Wayne's character, and how, especially with the way that it ends.
Yeah.
So, but there's some. Because Wingman Wayne, because you have Wayne who's giving tips to everybody about that she's giving you the eyes, or she's doing the unintended squeeze by, or the hair flip, all these things that he's telling, just go get it. And then when he finally gets to go get it, as he's going to the bathroom, he sees Angie's name.
Yeah.
So, and that's just fucked him up. So that's the thing I love about Kiso and Tierney is that they go in there and they say, okay, we're going to need to have just a goofy episode, and then we're going to need to build some story, and then we'll go back to some goofy with some story. And so you have all that, which is brilliant.
Yeah, there's always a lot more going on than meets the eye. Like,
totally.
If you're really paying attention, it's really smart writing. There's nothing's off limits either.
Now, Dean, you make a great podcast guest, and I know you make a better host, but let's dial it back 20% here. We just need to go back.
Sorry, I just you get me excited, you're going to get me on a roll.
Because I forgot to ask you what your rating for Super Soft Birthday was first.
Oh yeah, fresh.
Right.
Yeah, because I had a Super Soft Birthday just because of that episode. I thought I loved it.
That's commitment right there.
It's all good. Fartbook, and now
but wait, you scroll too fast. So Fartbook though, your polls.
The scientific Twitter poll for Fartbook
agrees with Victor and I.
But only 55.6% of people agreed, and actually,
we're talking like 6 votes here.
Yeah, I know. we don't have a lot of followers just yet, and again, our followers are Letterkenny fans.
More than one hand, so we're doing all right.
And 22.2 said clearance, and 22.2 said compost. So there you go. Yes, Victor and Tanya, you won that one. Congratulations. So let's go to Wingman Wayne now, and because
Wingman Wayne
and Dean, you so eloquently put it. I loved it. And we almost came to blows on this one because it was Victor and Tanya kept on saying they want character development, they want
story. They want
story and stuff like that, and
it wasn't enough. Actually,
that I think it was Rave that wasn't enough for them. But Wingman Wayne had a lot of that too. But the one thing Wingman Wayne, like, it knocked me off my theory that Wayne may be on the spectrum, because usually people on the spectrum can see, like, don't get social cues, and that's like a Wingman Wayne is all about him noticing the social cues. He just doesn't react to them usually, but he does in this episode. Let's see. There's some good Wayne's words of wisdom in this one.
You naturally prefer companionship, but I guess there's a lot worse things than playing a little one-man couch hockey in the dark.
So they need to take the prize for the most euphemisms for masturbation on this show. One man couch hockey, and there's so many of them, and also the very popular
more hands make less work.
More hands make less work.
I quoted that.
Yes, you did. Again, we're turning Tanya. We're wearing her down.
I quoted that. I absolutely did. I'm like, oh.
So Wingman Wayne got a fresh rating from Matt, 6, and a clearance from myself. It was. To me, it was good story. There weren't as many laughs, so it got a clearance, but a compost from Victor and Tanya. And do you think Twitter agreed with them? No, of course not. 5% said fresh.
And I recall that episode, we started to get mad at Tanya and Victor.
Yeah. 25% agreed with me, clearance, and only 12.5 actually said compost, which I'm kind of surprised, because again, people are following this. You'd think they're Letterkenny fans and there'd be no compost ratings, but in this one there was. So we appreciate the honesty. Dean, what would you give this one?
Yeah, that was. I love that. There was a great the tips.
Mm-hmm.
You got.
Here's a tip. It's really hard to get tuna out of your dick hole.
Come on.
Ew, the visual. The visual was just disgusting on that one.
That connects to his to the opening, right? So not just a rant.
Yeah, don't fart in a spacesuit.
Yeah. So it's a fresh for you.
It's totally a fresh for me. Because even if you look at IMDb, which, IMDb has Wingman Wayne as an 8.3 out of 10. So
that's higher than I'd expect. All right.
Yeah, the only Fartbook though, 6.7.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
It does sound about right. It's actually higher than I expect too. All right, episode 5, Rave. Now this is where we were all down the middle here on this one. 4 clearances from Tanya, Victor, and myself. And actually, Twitter kind of agreed with us. 75% said clearance as well, and only 25% fresh. I mean, and talk about more character development. I mean, we got more of the skids. I think most people felt truly sorry for Stuart during that episode. Right. I really enjoyed Wayne sticking up for him afterwards at the end when the hockey players wanted to come and beat the shit out of Stuart. So there was a lot of good character development again, but it lacked the really funny moments. Like, I mean, say what you will about Fartbook, there were some really great lines in Fartbook. I don't recall too many in Rave.
A couple of possum tidbits.
Yeah.
Mutant
with forked penises and
we should all be so
when
lucky.
They come into the church and Wayne's like, "Oh fuck, you're naked as a jaybird."
Yeah.
That shows more about the visuals, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, it was there were. I mean, I did have a few quotes out of there, but the best one overall was Stuart's list of drugs. When it was.
I thought it was pretty fun.
Nope, that's not the right one. Anyway, but when
MDA,
he's talking about all the DMT and USB and all this stuff that's going off about
UFC
UFC. Then he runs off, and then Wayne throws the chair at him.
That was a great scene. That was almost ones like I cried laughing during that one.
Yeah,
but yeah, this is another one. This where it's getting into the story.
Mm-hmm.
You're finding more about Stuart. And the Stuart that, and his, what he finds out from Katie about, she looked up to him and then he wants to change. And so, this is one of the story episodes. So I thought it was great. I mean,
for sure. And I mean, we don't get the impact of episode 6 without some of those, without 5 and even without 4. Right. But so they're a little weaker, but they do kind of, advance the story, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then, what would your rating for Rave would be?
It was a fresh, it would, but though I would say that would border on clearance.
Oh, all right. So,
but it's just because I love what they do with the show, just whether it's story or comedy, the way they blend it and how, often there will be more story. And I know that there's lots of people, I just want the comedy and like you said about, cause I don't know if we've gotten when we were talking about it in season 1, I don't know if we'd gotten into talking about Wayne being on the spectrum.
Oh,
and we definitely get into that later on. Yeah, because Tiara is on the spectrum.
Okay,
and he is definitely on the spectrum.
You think?
And we've had lots and lots of chats with other spectrum people about that. We were hoping at one point in time to get a psychologist on to talk about that and give their interpretation of what they were seeing as well.
Interesting. So, I mean, that is interesting. So I'm wondering, I mean, and I haven't gone past the episodes we're on. So have you guys had any of the cast members or writers on your podcast?
Yeah. We had Stuart on, we had Tyler Johnston, and we had Patrick McNeil, Connor.
Yeah.
We had, let's see, who do we have after that? We had, was it Trevor Risk? Well, I think it was after that. He was one of the writers on the show, and we had a really good chat with him about this, and this would be a spoiler that he, in the end, what he wants to do is he wants to come out and play a drag queen called the Ostrich.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. That would be so perfect if you didn't just ruin it. That would be so perfect. That would be like drop the mic, the series is over, and that's the perfect ending. Oh my God.
And then we spoke to Jess Salguero. who you haven't met yet.
But she's Mean Nanny from Working Moms, and she's also in The Boys and stuff. Tanya would know. All The Boys, also The Expanse, which is brilliant. And a fellow pork chop.
Yeah, and then Kelly McCormack, her counterpart in Letterkenny.
So not
Marianne and Betty Ann.
Neither of Jared Keeso or Jacob Tierney then.
No, I've put Keeso keeps himself pretty secluded. For the most part, I've tried. Right now, I'm trying to get Evan Stern because I really want to chat with him. But yeah, I think my chat with Trevor Risk was amazing. We could have gone on for probably 2 or 3 hours with him. He's just all the stuff that he knows about, and but the talking to Jess Salguero and Kelly McCormack separately. I'd love to chat with them together. But yeah, they are brilliant and smart and beautiful, and their causes that they're on about. Then another one that I really want to get to. I don't know how up she'd be for it right now because she's very pregnant. Connie Teo Horn.
She's pregnant.
Yeah, she's due in November.
Oh, Tanis is pregnant. Anyway, that's the reason I asked is because it would be interesting, given what your thoughts on that the possibility that the Wayne character is on the spectrum is to get there. Have they written him that way on purpose, maybe?
That's what I want to know directly from Tierney or Keeso. I talked to Trevor. We talked to Trevor about it, and he said that he's never been given any explicit information about it one way or the other. And none of the other cast members know for sure. But there's lots of things that he does. And one of the things you'll hear as we're going through our episodes is that Tiara is talking about, if you've met an autistic person, you've met an autistic person. Because we've had other autistic folks on the show. Imagine the autism spectrum being like a sundae. So where you go in, so you have your ice cream, and you want to go put on some sprinkles over here, and you want to put some nuts in here, and put some sauce over here. And each one of those things make up different. You may just have the ice cream and that's all you've got. So, there's different. So because of the spectrum, it is a very diverse population, right? From savants down to people who are non-talkative or whatever, non-communicative. So yeah, it's we've definitely delved into that heavily.
Interesting. All right, I'm just looking at our time, and wow, we're already at an hour. So we're going to just speed this up a bit here. Some more scientific Twitter polls that I just put out in the last few days. I just asked, first, so here's the one that kind of caused a little controversy early last week. I had put up a Twitter poll asking, what do you think of the Gail character on Letterkenny? And I had it, the first option was she's my spirit animal. Second option, I have no opinion. Third, I agree with Victor because he's not a fan. And fourth, just kidding, I don't give a fuck. So, and then
2 and 4 the same thing.
2 and 4. No, because
one's admitting you. Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
never mind.
So basically, 50% love her. 7% have no opinion or agree with Victor, and then just kidding, I don't give a fuck. 36%. So I got a message from. Oh crap! Who was it? Was it? I think it was Professor Trisha would literally shit a brick. It might have been her.
Yeah, Christian. Yeah, she runs a group on Facebook as well, which it's called the same thing. So basically, it's people who are being, you got a lot of Wayne folks, people who think they're Wayne but are actually hard right J. So in the community, so yeah, that's kind of why she runs that group.
So I think it was her. I feel bad giving her credit if it wasn't her. But anyway, if it was her, she kind of, responded to me and let me know that the whole term spirit animal is actually kind of a cultural appropriation from the natives, and not a term that, is politically correct at this time. So of course I took it down and I apologize. She shared with me an article to read, and I read it and completely, great. I agree. I had no idea. And of course I took it down to respect, her, not her wishes, but like, to respect the issue. So,
indigenous folks. Yeah.
The indigenous, like America, Canada has its issues with race for sure. Indigenous folks,
and like we have with black folks.
Yeah. And you can't be a fan of Letterkenny and not care about indigenous issues. So, it may not be apparent yet in season 1, but we'll learn that even further. And especially with the people involved, like Tia Horn, the actress who plays Tanis, she's very heavily involved. Her and I think her mom in indigenous Canadian issues. And so, of course, as soon as that was brought to my attention, I took it down. But not before I recorded the results. So 50% loved her. The next poll I had here: who's your favorite Letterkenny hit character in season 1? So this got retweeted by Letterkenny Problems, and thank God it did, because up until then my crappy polls were getting maybe a dozen people responding, and boom, this one here got 310 votes. So wow.
Oh wow.
And
I think I retweeted those as well. When I saw them, I didn't see any of the first ones. So.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. So Wayne is everyone's favorite, 49.4%, followed by Squirrely Dan. I'm a little surprised. I thought Squirrely Dan would be the favorite. It definitely is, I think, on our show. Followed by Katie at 13.2% and Daryl at 10%. The favorite Skid character in season 1, 204 votes. Again, the power of Letterkenny Problems. Stuart, Rolled. So here's where somebody tweeted, I think maybe people are answering this poll not knowing that it's for only season 1, because Rolled doesn't really come into play in season 1. Like he makes a few comments, but he doesn't become the character he becomes in later seasons. But the people disagreed, and he's their favorite, followed by Stuart, and then Devin at 16.7%. The other Stuart, yeah. Stuart, who is your favorite Letterkenny hockey player character in season 1? And again, 228 votes. And I got shit from somebody because I didn't put Riley and Jonesy as 1. And in hindsight, I should have, and that would have given me, space for another hockey player character. So anyway, Riley and Jonesy got low marks, but because predictably Shorzy got 55.3% of the vote,
Shorzy, even in the first season, is not much of a character.
No, he wasn't.
I was about to say that. He hasn't really made his mark yet. He comes out way more in later seasons. And
Coach was by far, the lead character of especially of season 1 for the hockey.
Fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
fucking embarrassing.
Your balls a tug, you tit fucker.
But yeah, Shorzy did coin his phrase in the first season, and then
real quick, we I don't know if you've heard. I don't know if we did it in season 1. We play a game called Fuck Fight Ferta. So we always put Riley and Jonesy as one character because they share a brain cell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was my bad. In the season 2 recap, I will definitely combine them. And then, who is your favorite Letterkenny other character in season 1? And we had Gail, McMurray, Pastor Glenn, or Tanis. And it was a close race, but in the end, Pastor Glenn came out on top. I know Tanya's not a fan. Not a fan.
Yeah. And even we commented on McMurray as well, because again, he really hasn't found his character yet.
No, not yet.
It evolves so much as the show goes on. So he's not even recognizable against season 1.
No. Yeah, season 1. I think he's probably got 2 episodes. Maybe he has a little bit in. Mm-hmm. But because you can actually in season 1 still understand him.
Exactly.
You're talking like this. You guys want to talk about her?
So
and Mrs. McMurray. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we haven't met her yet. So what overall rating for season 1? Let's go fresh clearance compost for season 1. Let's grade it on a curve, because Dean, I know it's all fresh for you, but you've seen them all now. So compared to other seasons, let's hear from you first. Fresh, clearance, or compost?
It's definitely fresh. I mean, personally, I think 3 once you get to 3, I think you're going to love 3. 3 is probably the best one of the batch of the first set. But yeah, 1 great. 1 is great.
Okay. And Tanya, what would you give season 1, not knowing anything yet, like beyond season 1?
I'll stick it right smack dab in the middle at Clarence. It had its ups, it had its downs.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Going there,
Victor.
Yeah, same. I'm at Clearance. More towards the top end, I think, but I'm hoping the show gets better.
Okay, Matt, dare I ask?
Yeah, 100%. It's fresh. I mean, with the absence of Fartbook, which again, I still agree. There were some great moments there, but overall, it just didn't do it for me. It was just this season's what drew me in. I get nervous about Victor and Tanya in later seasons though, because there is a couple. I think it was 4 or 5 where even I started losing a bit of interest, and then it picked back up again.
6.
Was it 6? One of them just was a little tough to get through.
No, sorry, 7.
Okay. Yeah, there was definitely a season that was tough. Either way, this season was a fresh for sure.
And luckily, they're short seasons, so it's not like we're going to have to suffer too long.
You don't have to worry about the interest level. I think for Tanya and myself, the issues are, and Tanya just because she's probably just the more intelligent one, but for me, it's because I'm watching it through my dad lenses.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the juvenileness and of it all, right? So it's not that it's not interesting or whatever. If I'm watching the show alone, I'm watching it slightly differently.
Sure,
but
that makes sense.
But I think it gives it that nice perspective, and and that's all. I think if you take away some of from the season, and I get it. Obviously, people love Gail, and maybe she even develops into a more of a funny or interesting character. But we've had such a small taste of her, and it just so far a bit of a bad taste. So and I think what was it, episode 5, where she's actually trying to sober up. So who knows?
Dean, what are
you're expecting a change? But
what are your views on Gail?
I think as you see McMurray develop, you're gonna see that they're basically the same character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
One female, one male.
Yeah,
so,
and maybe that's what she needs, right? Because right now she's on an island, and she's just so far out there. At least the skits, they're all weird, but they all have each other. Yeah. But she's the only one that's standing. And maybe she needs a buddy. So
Gail just gives no fucks at all.
Yeah.
Zero fucks given by her for sure.
Right, exactly.
Okay, some listener comments. Let's see. Joshua Burley, have to agree. Season 1 finale is the best so far. My favorite all-time episode is in a different season. Nice to go back and review, though. We'll be doing my homework before the podcast from now on. Pitter patter. Thank you, Joshua. This is from Professor Trisha with Literary Shit or Brick. She says, I know I'm the minority, but honestly, I'm Team Devon. This is in regards to the polls. He was creative, energetic, and mischievous. He brought a lot of life to the skids and also got them into a lot of trouble. And then there's this guy named Dean from some other podcast. While I adore Tanis, she was much more of a villain in season 1. Glenn, on the other hand, was much more of a didgeridoo. Yes.
More of a didgeridoo.
Also from this guy named Dean. Without Coach, the hockey team has no fire. And two more from Dean. Rolled will always be my favorite wood nymph. And Dan,
that comes in a later season.
I was going to say I don't know that reference.
Yeah, and
that's how he identifies as a wood nymph.
Yeah,
that's right.
And also, Dan has hoovered so much schneef from so many places. There's no other who I could appreciate more. So I take it your favorite hick was also Squirrely Dan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. Square Black Lives Matter pegs. I think lots of people are forgetting season 1's based on these voting results. So yeah, that there's a point there. And actually, Dean, you're guilty of that because you voted for Rolled.
Yeah, I couldn't not. I just my heart is filled with Rolled, and I mean, and as you continue watching, I think so many people are very much on board with that. Stuart's great and stuff, but I think he's there to have his ups and downs.
Yeah.
And Rolled's just there to be supportive.
Sure. Stuart was my favorite in season 1, but by season 3, he was coming in close second to Roald. I even named some of my baby goats after 2 of them this year. That's from Lorna Violet. So apparently she's got baby goats named,
I love Lorna.
Named Roald. Thank you,
but only
Lorna.
some of her baby goats,
yeah.
not all.
So what? She's like rolled 1, rolled 2. Is that?
That's what I caught. I'm like, there's more than one goat named Rolled.
And another one from Lorna. I hope he shows back up at some. Oh, this is a bit of a spoiler. I hope he shows back up at some point. I don't like Devin, but I don't like him in a way that makes me want him to stay on the show, so I can keep not liking him. Plus, I love the way he says Stuart. Stuart. Yeah, you do it better than I do. Second to only Rolls. Stuart. I think I do Rolls better. Yeah. So those are the comments. Thank you guys for following us on Twitter. Let's see. Check out we've got our Spotify playlist called the Produce Stand Podcast playlist that has all the music from the first season. Final comments. First of all, Dean, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can we make this like between each season? Would you come on?
Sure.
Yeah. That would be great.
Totally.
This is a lot of fun, and it's great to hear, some fresh views on the show. Did you have any final comments?
I just, season 1 was amazing. That's what drove me to keep going with this. I mean, right off the bat, the subtle things that they would put in there, even though it's supposed to be just these hicks, there's a lot of depth in there that a lot of people don't see right off the bat. And that's kind of, what I mean, because I grew up in a little town in Texas. And so I identified with a lot of that. So yeah, it's brilliant. And I love the passion that Kiso and Tierney and everybody in that cast that I've talked to are perfectly lovely and awesome people. I mean, and they all say that Kiso is the nicest person that they've ever met. So, I mean, I would love to be on that set. So yeah, it's just it's fantastic. And I'm glad that so many people are listening, and I hope people still spread the word, because it's a great show.
It feels like it gets a lot of love from Texas. It seems to have struck a chord down there.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I think a lot of people, though, I mean, like as you notice, and I've noticed, there's a lot of depth in there, which they don't, and you're going to find later that they're very LGBTQ plus positive.
Yeah, don't give anything up there. Yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah, but this is a very progressive show
for sure. Yeah.
That you may not see unless you're actually looking, and a lot of people. There's been a lot of people who've given us bad reviews because we talk about that stuff.
Sure. Yeah, which is weird. Again, because like I said about the natives, you can't be a fan of this show and be against some of these issues, because then you're not really paying attention.
Yeah.
By the way, did you get a chance to see that W5 clip?
I did not.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
But I was aware of the show because because being Americans, one of the things that we would do just as we would see them is we would see, okay, what does W5 mean? I mean, I know that means, it's all who, what, when, where, why, and so, but what does that mean in Canadian?
Yeah.
So we would do a lot of your translations, to different things.
So. Yeah. So W5 is like a Canadian news magazine show and they do like special interest stories and news related stories. So they did a 20-minute thing on Letterkenny from probably around season 2. So the reason I was able to share with these guys is because there's not a lot of spoilery stuff beyond that season, but it tells a story from beginning to end of Jared Kiso, where he grew up in Listowel and how he got connected with Jacob Tierney and stuff. It's interesting stuff. So you might enjoy it. You might learn something new, or maybe not, because it sounds like you know everything about the show already.
I think one of my favorite bits of trivia about Jared Kiso is he couldn't make it as a hockey player, so he just fell back into acting.
Yeah, that's funny. It's his fallback. Yeah. Tanya, any final words, even like about the W5 show or anything?
It was very insightful. It was a new kind of take on the characters and the writers and their process, and it definitely gave more depth to the show for sure. For sure, it was nice.
So made you appreciate it a bit more.
I appreciate it. Absolutely. Nothing about the ostrich though, but you know.
No, it's funny because the way they navigate around a lot of the swearing, because it's a regular cable show, so they have to bleep it all out. But of course they're, it's just so much of it that, you know exactly what they're saying, even though they're bleeping it. Victor, any final words or about the W5 episode or otherwise?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. They gave lots of interesting insights, even on how Trevor Squirrely Dan came up with his own idea to kind of speak in that dialect, and and how Jared basically said, "Yes, that's what I wanted you to do, but I didn't know how to ask."
Yeah, I wanted you to sound like a dumb hick, but I just didn't know the right way to say it. Yeah.
So that was that was really good, and I loved how they had the actual they had 5 or 6 hockey players from the Calgary Flames come on and read the lines from the Riley Jonesy lines from that scene in
season 1. Yeah, what
in the locker room where they're talking about all the guys in town that are on meth. And and then I think the poop lines, all the different poop-a-rask and all that stuff. So they had actual hockey players read those lines, and it was hilarious.
Well, they're laughing at it because these are
you go and watch
these are players that they're actually still playing against, and they're making fun of them, right? So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, Matt. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and one more thing. So, and I just want to say, Dean, one of the things I love that you guys do on your podcast is kind of go over the new kind of terminologies or the language that you're learning in each episode. So I think that's really neat. Yeah. We may borrow from that, but I just think it's a really because you're building your vocabulary or you're destroying it. I'm not sure which one it is, but either way,
what was the term? Chiara looked up, and something hot pocket.
That was a Gale. Jesus Christ! Now
something hot pocket.
Alabama hot pocket.
Alabama. I love that. I laughed my ass off when you guys are trying to figure that out, because that's not even a Canadian thing. I don't even know if that's an Alabama thing or they just made it up. But it's just so disgusting.
I think they just went out on Urban Dictionary and found something disgusting.
Yeah, but which came first, right? Did they make it up and then Urban Dictionary kind of did, or yeah?
But that's true. I don't know.
But it's funny because
I haven't checked that out.
That was actually something we thought about doing when we first started, when we were doing like our production meeting, is like, we should do like Canadian slang. But the thing is, we don't know what people don't know. We take it for granted. So when you guys say, oh, they don't know that. Oh, I guess maybe not. Like, so yeah.
Like Ferda, we didn't know off the bat because we weren't hockey fans.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was just a generalized hockey term overall. I mean, I can't even think now exactly what we learned over the years, over the last couple of years. But I mean, and so, because we would always watch, especially with the hockey players, because they talk so fast.
Yeah.
We would make sure we watch it with closed captioning on, so we didn't miss anything.
The hockey players are the only ones I understand.
And everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah. It's everything else that goes over my head.
Maddie, it's past your bedtime, so we're wrapping this up.
I'm sleeping already.
Yeah. What do you have?
No, I mean, from my perspective, I think you touched on it already. To me, it's one of the most inclusive shows I've ever seen when you're paying attention. A lot of people would look at it, they'd see a lot of nonsense. You look a little closer, there's a ton of depth. So they nothing's out of bounds, and they touch every subject in a very smart, classy way almost. I mean, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but it's very refreshing to see.
To the point where I think some right wingers will look at that going, yeah, and then right on, and then like, oh shit, wait a minute, am I cheering for that? What? Right? Like, I feel like there's some of those happen, and I wonder whether that actually, I don't know, maybe I'm just fantasizing about it, but
and it's so smart. And I mean, I think the other thing that really catches me and what drew me in, and even doing some more research, is I think Dean, you touched on the passion behind these guys. It's so clear and obvious. And watching that W5 episode, a lot of these guys, they're friends. Like, you didn't talk about 6 or 7 of them are all old hockey buddies. So they don't care. It's not about, what your background, but here, let's come. We're having some fun. We're making a show. Come out, be part of it. I don't care what your background or your talent is. Let's make some fun. And it actually reminds me of things like a couple quick references, like the CKY guys that ultimately Bam Margera that became Jackass with Johnny Knoxville and grew up. Like that all started with sort of a small little group of guys doing something just for the fun of it and grew into something bigger. Right. It's just one of those things. Or even you go to the Happy Madison guys with Adam Sandler. Yes, he went through all those channels, but even through his movies over time, he still brings all his old buddies in to make movies because they're just loving the things they do. And I think you're seeing sort of sides of that within this show too. Just it's a group of friends having a good time, laughing their asses off every week and making some great content. Yeah.
I love the story Jared Kiso, and again in the W5, he talks about going down to Hollywood. No, before doing all of this, he had designs on being an actor, and went down to Hollywood, and how Hollywood basically chewed him up and spit him out, and he hated it down there. And you could tell, like, a lot of his personality is in Wayne, and a lot of Wayne is in him, and he's just not Hollywood material, and not because he's not a creative or a good writer or good actor. It's just because he doesn't put up with any of that bullshit. And he was only happy when he came back to Canada. And even though it had to start small and grassroots, now look at what he's done, and he's done it on his terms. And I think that's amazing.
He specifically said that in the W5. He's like, I am happy now.
Yeah, exactly.
He had to go see a shrink first, but then he was happy.
He said that. I had that
I'm really proud of him. I mean, because I did see the one episode of Psych that he was in, and I was a huge fan of Psych. And watching that, it was just hilarious because he was totally not himself.
Victor, did you appreciate the scenes from the Don Cherry movie that he's in? He did a great job.
I saw the Don. It's actually a 2-part movie, but I saw both, and I didn't make the connection when I was watching it a few years ago. I totally, until you told me, he was in a. It's like, whoa. That kind of blew my mind a little bit, but I love that movie, and I recommend, Dean, if you haven't seen it.
I had somebody send me discs of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go.
and I think 19.2, Kiso's other series, you can down here I can find streaming from my library. So,
well, there you go. Yeah. I saw some clips from that. That looks interesting. I'll probably get on that once we're done this because it looks pretty.
And you'll see a lot of the guys from Letterkenny.
Yeah, Mark Murray's in there, Devin's in there, a couple others, but
Adrian Holmes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much, Dean, for doing this. I'm going to wrap this up now. And that's all we have for this episode. Next week, we begin our recap of season 2 with episode 1 of Fuss at the Egg Hall. Please rate us on iTunes if you like the show. Follow us on Twitter at ProduceStandPod. We also invite you to visit the website, theproducestandpod.com, for episode recaps and a list of our favorite episodes. Thanks for joining us. Now we're going to pass a bottle of Gus and Brew around, but not to the Ginger or Boots because, well, what else have they fucked? From all of us at the Produce Stand, have a good night.